you live to Washington County, where police are releasing new details on this case.
We have some sad news to report to you on a case that occurred this weekend, Saturday night, around 10 o'clock. That ended with the life of a 20-year-old innocent young girl being taken in our county. It's obviously, with cases of this magnitude, we're not going to be able to answer all the questions that you probably have, but we will be able to share the details of the case as we know them to this point. The first call came in at 9:53 p.m. on Saturday night. It was a 911 call reporting that a 20-year-old female had been shot. Patrols arrived at the scene. It was on Cemetery Road in the town of Hebron, and initially began CPR efforts along with Salem Fire and EMS. There was a few members that were there right away as well. We then began getting calls about shots being fired on Patterson Hill Road, which is in the town of Salem, approximately 5 miles away from where the Cemetery Road scene was. So patrols began to respond to that residence, and upon their arrival, the residence was dark. However, at some point the lights all came on, and we figured out that that was the scene where the shots were fired from. The resident inside was not cooperative. He would not come out and talk to patrols, so we had a bit of a situation there with the subject being in his house. We identified the victim as 20-year-old Kaylin Gillis from Schuylerville, New York, at the Cemetery Road location. In talking to the other subjects that were there at Cemetery Road in the same vehicle with Kaylin, they indicated that they had been looking for a friend's house in the Patterson Hill Road area and had gone to the scene where we had the report of shots fired. They had gone to the scene in error. They were looking for a friend's house, as I said, and unfortunately they drove up this driveway. It's a very rural area. It's dirt roads. There's not a lot of cellular service or any type of internet. So they were basically looking for their friend's house and got mistaken and drove up this driveway. While they were leaving the residence, once they determined that they were at the wrong house, a subject came out on his porch for whatever reason and fired 2 shots, one of which struck the vehicle that Kaylin was in. They left that area in the vehicle, went to the Cemetery Road location, again with poor cell phone reception. They were able to make contact with our 911 center, and that's how the call came in. Subsequently, we found out that the owner of the residence was Kevin Monahan, age 65, of Patterson Hill Road. As I stated earlier, he was uncooperative with patrols on the scene, and we have his picture up over here. And after approximately more than an hour of talking back and forth through a 911 and trying to talk to him in person on the scene, he was taken into custody. He's currently being held in the Warren County Jail, and he'll have a court appearance before County Court Judge McKeegan in the near future. Again, this is a very sad case of some young adults that were looking for a friend's house and ended up at this man's house who decided to come out with a firearm and discharge it. We'll be able to take a few questions, but as I stated, please keep in mind that this is very early in this investigation, and we won't be able to provide all the details as we know them.
Can you tell us a little bit about your suspect, who he is in the community, what he does?
I believe he's a laborer and I think he's been at that residence for quite a while.
If I could, just one quick point of clarification as you're covering. I think that the towns got mixed up. So Cemetery Road is in the town of Salem, and the residence where the shooting occurs in the town of Hebron, just so as you reported, just so that we're clear on that.
Can you explain that? So basically, this happened at this home, but at some point there was a car full of people who left that initial shooting location to seek help.
Correct.
Kind of clear that up and just say that, please.
Yes, the car with the victim went to the Patterson Hill residence by accident. They were looking for a friend's house. That's where the shooting occurred, and then they drove to the Cemetery Road address.
And seeking help.
Yes.
And why was that? Because there was no cell phone service? Why was that?
Well, there's someone shooting at them, and they were looking for help. Yes.
What has Mr. Monahan been charged with?
He's been charged with murder in the second degree.
Was there any interaction between the people in the car and him?
Not that I know of.
Do you know how long that they were in that driveway before he came out and fired on us?
I don't, but I believe it was a very short time.
How many people were in the car?
There was 4 in the car. There was 3 other people in the car with the victim, so there's a total of 4.
What type of weapon was this, and have you found any other weapons inside the suspect's home?
We don't want to talk about the weapon today.
Was the suspect known to you? Do you have a history with the suspect?
Not that I know of.
Can you tell us anything about this poor young woman whose life was cut short?
From all indications, she was, like I said, an innocent young girl who was out with friends looking for another friend's house. I know for a fact that she comes from a good family, a very good family, and I know them personally. And, you know, she's a young girl that was taken way too young.
Why is he being held in the Warren County jail?
That's an administrative decision that we made in this case.
Was there anyone else involved in this? Is there anyone else who might be facing any kind of charges?
Not that we know of at this time.
How many homes were they on? Were there several homes away from the Corvette house or several driveways? Or can you give a description how far?
I'm not entirely sure, but I know it was close.
Can you just kind of go over, like, this just seems so senseless and so... Can you just speak from your heart about your thoughts on this and how just useless this seems?
Yeah, I mean, you know, as I stated, they're young adults. They were in the area looking for a friend's house. It's a very rural area with dirt roads. It's easy to get lost. They drove up this driveway for a very short time, realized their mistake, and were leaving when Mr. Monahan came out and fired 2 shots.
Very often there are people who mistake homes, but this is like a common occurrence in just about every neighborhood I can think of. What would you say to somebody who would even consider responding in such a cruel way to just a mistake?
Well, there was clearly no threat from anyone in the vehicles. There was no reason for Mr. Monahan to feel threatened, especially as it appears the vehicles were leaving at the time. So,
what did he say to your deputies when they responded? What did he say? Why he wouldn't come out and why he shot?
he was uncooperative. He hasn't spoken to the deputies.
He hasn't said anything to you?
No, not of substance. Not related as to motive or anything like that.
Did he pull a weapon on the investigators?
No.
How were
Did
you
he
able
move
to
the car, get out, knock on the door, ring the doorbell, or anything like
No.
that? So they no one had even ever entered his vehicle in March?
Correct.
And where were shots fired from?
From outside his residence.
From on the front porch or something like that? Near the front door?
I believe it was the side of the house.
How are the other 3 victims? Was anyone else injured?
at all?
No, I think one of the people in the car was looked at for possible shrapnel type injury, but it was minor. All right. I'm sorry we don't have more information. Obviously, like I said, you know, this is a new case. It just happened, and we're going to do everything we can to fully investigate it and make sure that there's a successful prosecution. And we'll keep you updated as we learn new facts. So thank you all for coming.
And that was Washington County's Sheriff Jeffrey Murphy. If you're just tuning in, we just came out of a news conference in Washington County of a 20-year-old woman being shot and killed. Here's just a few of the details we know so far. Her name is Kaylin Gillis. She was 20 years old when she was driving with 3 friends in her car in Washington County. Police do have a suspect in custody right now. He is 65-year-old Kevin Monahan, and he is charged with murder in the 2nd degree. Kaylin Gillis and her friends were driving in the town of Hebron when they were looking for a friend's house and got lost. That's when they drove into the suspect's driveway there, and he shot at them 2 times, hitting and killing Kaylin Gillis. Sheriff Jeffrey there calling this a sad case of young adults looking for a friend's house. Sheriff Murphy also says that he does know that this young woman comes from a good family, and he knows that family personally. So a lot of new details here. We'll get everything posted online for you, and we'll have more details and more from this case starting live at 4.